And our next story is about Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of Britain. He has become a man in trouble. A new survey, in fact, shows how the British voter has lost faith in the leader. This is a YouGov survey for the Times UK. It was carried out to assess the performance of the Tories under Rishi Sunak, whether they've done a good job, whether there is disillusionment, and whether the voters will give the Tories another term. The results for the survey should worry Rishi Sunak, to say the least. Here's why. Only 6% of the voters think that the Tories have done a good job and deserve to remain in office. 24% think they have done a poor job but would still prefer them in power. And an overwhelming 43% think that the Tories have done a poor job in power and should be replaced by the Labour Party. And next, they were asked if the Tories are fit for government or not. Only 15% said that they are fit for government, 17% were not sure, and a majority of 68% said that they were not fit to run the country. The survey also asked the voters as to who they would prefer to handle Britain's pressing issues like immigration, economy, climate change, the NHS, crime. The choice was between a Conservative government under Rishi Sunak and a Labour government under Keir Starmer. And here's what the survey showed. On immigration, 27% prefer a Labour government under Keir Starmer. Only 17% prefer a Conservative government under Rishi Sunak. On the economy, 31% preferring a Labour government under Keir Starmer. Only 23% prefer a Conservative government under Rishi Sunak. On climate change, 29% prefer a Labour government. 12% only prefer the Tories. On NHS, an overwhelming 41% prefer the Labour Party. Just 13% want a Sunak-led government. And lastly, even on crime, 29% want a Labour government. 17% want a Conservative government led by Rishi Sunak. How should we view this data? Is this a sign of voter disillusionment with Rishi Sunak? A sign that his days at 10 Downing Street are numbered? That certainly seems to be the case, and the data has not been lost on Rishi Sunak. As I speak, Sunak is preparing to win the voters back through a series of events and policy reforms. To start with, the Sunak-led government is considering axing the inheritance tax in 2 months in a clear bid to attract more voters. For the unversed, this is a tax on the estate of someone who has died. It includes their properties, possessions, money. Currently, the tax threshold is 40%, and Sunak plans to bring it down. That's not all. Sunak is also planning to reduce the income tax threshold and lower the basic tax rate in the UK. Will these measures work? One can't say for sure, because Sunak is in trouble on several fronts. He has made a complete mess of the Rwanda policy. His immigration minister has resigned. Factions have formed within his own party. 2 weeks back, just hours after the Prime Minister tabled a bill to save his Rwanda deportation policy, Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick called it quits because the legislation did not allow the government to override the international laws and deport the immigrants. Jenrick said the law aimed at reviving the policy did not go far enough, and the policy will face further hurdles in court. Senior Tories have warned Sunak that his plan is doomed to fail. There's also a rebellion boiling among the Conservatives. It's not just the right-wing members. There are 4 different factions, each with its own demands. What are these groups and how much of a threat are they to Rishi Sunak? Number 1, One Nation. It was set up to represent the views of centrist Tories. Faction number 2 being the European Research Group faction. Number 3, the New Conservatives. This one was set up in May this year, and it has brought together some disparate right-wing groups. And lastly, we have the Conservative Growth Group. This one is forged out of Liz Truss's failed premiership. It is focused on the libertarian-style policies that MPs believe will boost the economy. Now, all these factions have put their personal views and interests over the broader party's objectives. And together, they can make or break Sunak's premiership. It's like Sunak's premiership is hanging by a thread. His approval ratings are down. The voters have lost faith in his government. His policies are backfiring. His MPs have been resigning. And there are factions within the Tories. Will there be a civil war within his party? And is this the beginning of a rebellion among the Conservatives? And will this rebellion spell the end of Rishi Sunak? Only time will tell. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.